Well, I'm Catherine. I'm the senior crew chief here at the Landmark, and every summer we come down and we open up an area, and for about the past 9 years we've been excavating in this particular spot. We call it Area 6. It's just a designation because we have about 84 areas throughout the entire Landmark. And so this area that we're standing in, this reservoir, it was actually part of Yellow House Draw. And we're actually standing in the ancient valley axis, which just means the very base of the draw. And about 12,000 years ago, there was always flowing water. And at that time, that's when we had the Columbian mammoth and the extinct horses and the camel and all that lived out here. So there was ponded water where the soil's really light, and then where it's really dark, it was more like a marsh condition. And in these dark layers, here and here, that's where we find our cultural features, the bison butchering localities. The first one dates to the Folsom period, which is about 10,800 years ago. And then we have an unnamed one that dates just a little bit later. And currently my crew is working we're right on top of a feature for the Plainview cultural period. And these cultural periods are generally named after the stone tool that is associated with any one of them. And what people did, the bison would come down here to the water and the people would follow them. They would kill them, butcher them in place, and they would just left these big old piles of bone, and they would just take what they needed back with them. And they, in the earlier features in the Folsom and the Plainview, they had a lot more reliance on bone tools. So they would actually, as they were butchering the bison, they would use some of the long bone, like the humerus or tibia, and they would break them and sharpen them and just make really quick tools to help butcher the meat off. Then they could just leave those behind. They didn't have to carry them. Nice crew this year. I'm really excited. They told me they wanted me to introduce them. They didn't want to do it themselves. Most of them come from Costa Rica. And then we also have a couple volunteers from here in the U.S. But people really come from all over. The Landmark is a really special place. I wish I could take out of the strat wall, but it's all underwater. We'd have to wade and swim over there. But the Landmark has a representation from every cultural period in North America since people have been in North America. So we have everything from Clovis at about 12,000 years ago up until historic and present day. And so because we have that time depth and that breadth of culture, people come from all over to experience it and to learn what they can do in archaeology.
And tell them what happens with everything that you take out of them.
Oh, right. So you see all these orange bags. Most of these are just filled with dirt, with spoil that it doesn't mean anything, and we use it to shore up our walls. But a lot of the bags you see, every bit of dirt that we dig up, we put in a bag, and it gets all its information, its elevation, which unit it came from, the stratum, who excavated it, the day they did it, and it goes up to our lab, and you'll see them, they wash through it. And that's where we get a lot of our microfauna, all the little critters that we find. So muskrat, frogs, birds, snakes, fish. We get a lot of catfish around here, a lot of bullfrogs, a lot of plains leopard frogs. It's a very diverse fauna set.
Sites in the United States actually that have had continuous excavating like we've had out here. And this site is, she's already said, is known all over the world. How did the people from Costa Rica end up here?
Well, our current director of the Landmark, she actually had a student that came here, and he was from Costa Rica, and he keeps sending students. That's how we recruit a lot of our volunteers, is by volunteers or students that have been here before, because hopefully they have a good experience and they tell other people to come and try it out.
That's neat.
That's amazing. There's a bone up there too, isn't there? Is that not a bone right up there?
you feel anything hard?
He would look a lot like a wolf to you. If you saw it, you'd think, oh my gosh, a wolf. But they're much more robust than a gray wolf, the modern wolf. And they had bigger skulls with much bigger jaws and powerful teeth. And so these guys were adapted to living around these mega herbivores. The big bison, the horses, the camels, the mammoths, the mastodons. They were really made to eat these really big animals and to consume their bones too. So their bones were, or their jaws were so big that they could crunch up bones. But also during around 11,000 years ago in the late Pleistocene, that's the geological epoch that these bones come from, we also have the gray wolf, the modern wolf. And what's interesting about these bones, one of the things that's interesting about them, is we don't know which wolf it is. We discovered these bones a year or two ago, and we haven't had the opportunity yet to do the measurements and the analysis that we need to determine whether this is dire wolf or modern gray wolf. And the difference is important because dire wolf goes extinct when all these other megafauna go extinct, because he specialized in hunting these megafauna, and when they die out, so does he. But that gives gray wolf more room to operate. Another interesting thing is if you look at this bone right here, these are two of his ankle bones, and they're fused together, and they have a lot of bony growth built up on them. That tells us that this individual wolf had a bad ankle. He broke it, or maybe he had very, very bad arthritis or some other kind of injury. And so we actually know a little bit about this animal's life, that he maybe had a hard time getting around, and maybe that's why we found his bones where we did, is that ultimately that injury became too much for him. So that's the extent of what I'm going to talk about. If you guys have questions, please ask us at the end, and I'm going to turn it over to Lila, who's going to move us forward.
Well, the site I work at is called Whiskey Flats, and we only started working at it a few years ago, so we were still trying to figure out when there were people at this site. In the beginning, we started working there because we know it was at Mustang Climb, so there was water. Water means there were probably animals and people around there. And once we started excavating, we found a bone bed. So a bone bed is very interesting, but we have to find out what it means. So the first thing we need to do is find out what kinds of animals are there, and are there any artifacts that could tell us if people were there as well, or if it was just animals. This year, when we were in the field, we were able to find a glass bead, which tells us that the site is probably a Comanche site. That would put it between 1650 and 1850. So some of the animals we have found there are mainly horse, bison, and coyote. So now our job is to find out what role these animals had with those people.
remains, but it was just really, really a productive place. But like they were telling you, we probably haven't touched maybe 5 or 6% of what is out here. So the archaeological work will just go on forever and ever and ever. So anyway, it's really good to have all you people out here. You're pretty much on your own. If you haven't been through the gallery, I would suggest you doing that. But we really appreciate you coming out, and tell your friends about the Lubbock Lake Landmark. A lot of people don't know about it, haven't heard of it, and it's really a neat place. So you're welcome to come back at any time. So it's good to have you with us today.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we do that?
Got them out here.
All right, we're ready.
Ready? So now the thing to remember is don't push too hard. Okay, you just kind of try to keep it nice and straight.
Good job.
Good job. Good job.
Yeah, this one's too long. Does anyone have a shorter one?
Beer. Okay. See how that works? Gotta go like that. Okay. You try it. There you go. Exactly. You did it.
Wow.
Great job.
Good job.
She's so little, she can throw a little far.
Good job. Put it back over here. Just get this brush. It's got some on it.
It's not working.
That's good enough. Ooh, that's too much.
Good. Need the red.
No, you don't need red one. You got a red one. Here's the journal.
Take a couple shots, man.
Where's Brayden? Brayden, you ready?
I'm gonna go international now.
What's going on? Oh, your spine. So,
And that's out of a bison?
out of a bison, exactly.
So is it the modern day bison?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe most in here are modern.
Yeah.
But oh, let me show you something cool.
Animal facts. So you just paint on them and then you kind of stamp them on paper. So there's a bobcat, wolf, bison.
So this is also a bison bone.
Wow.
See,
Look
or
at
a
that.
bison vertebra. See, it's the same down here.
Okay, so that's like a rib?
Actually, it's the vertebra. This is an ancient bison.
Yeah.
And they had the
okay.
bigger humps.
Yeah.
And this went up, supporting that hump.
Golly, I see now. I see what you're saying. Wow.